So today, guys, I wanted to talk about the wins and losses of the update, right? What did they got it right and what did they got it wrong? How good was the update, basically, right? So let's start with the wins. We have two things that I think are pretty great that they added. One of them, of course, MultiVehicle AA Systems. This brings you ideas here. The first one is that finally now we can have multiple nations with good enough AA systems that are at least comparable to the Panzer. I still believe that the Panzer is somewhat better than most of them, but at least we have an idea and a chance of other nations to have good enough AA systems, balancing it out CAS in general, right? Still, there is a mountain for us to climb, right? I still believe the KH-38 is stronger than all the other nations' missiles, and I don't think these AA systems, for the most part, can do what the Panzer does in the terms of range, but it is something, at least. They got it right that something needed to happen, right? And the second thing about this is that the preparation for the future is there. So if they want to add a Patriot, an S-300, or whatever AA system in the future, you will see that, of course, we already kind of have the mechanic, and, you know, it's already working. So we just need the implementation of the new vehicles. So it's a great win that Gaijin did with the multi-vehicle AAs. Another one is the Mitsubishi F2. I think, although the F-15JM wasn't a bad aircraft, I think, honestly, obviously, Japan needed something else to call it one of the top tiers that they have. And the Mitsubishi F2 is one of, or probably the most unique vehicle that they can have in these ranks, because it's their own design of an F-16, right? So it's a little bit different, it has its own radar, the canopy, the weapons, everything it's Japanese, right? Which means that we needed desperately these aircraft for a very long time. I honestly don't understand why it took so much time for this thing to be added. We already have Rafales and Eurofighters, so the Mitsubishi F2 needed to be one of the first of these 4+ generation jets that we could have in a game, right? And it's so much that it's a 13.7. It's not even a top tier technically, right? So it's kind of weird that it took so much time, but it finally is here. And I think, honestly, it is one of the best additions of the update. The Japanese, really needed something like this. Then, of course, let's talk about probably what is the most interesting to talk about. Because although, yeah, we had like two, maybe even more, but two things that I think are very, very good in this update. We had many, many bad things that, we need to talk about it as well. The first thing, of course, is bugs, guys. It was one of the most, filled with bugs update I ever saw Gaijin release. We had more than 10 major bugs, I think. The major ones, of course, the big ones was, of course, the missile bug. I think it was just completely making top tier be a problem. Of course, the damage bug, the HE bug, whatever you want to call it, with the aircraft. So some aircraft cannons were just not doing damage out of nowhere. They would just rip everything, and sometimes not, so it was just very weird, the damage. Of course, we had the tank bug, which is basically that you could fire any type of HE, HEI, something along those lines of a round in a tank. And if the tank was going forward towards you, the ammunition would just skip the armor and it would just explode inside the tank, right? So basically any 20mm, for example, could penetrate an Abrams from the front, T-90 or whatever tank you would fire, right? So that was a major bug. We still have, I think, the jumping bug on trees and stuff, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check if they fixed, but anyway, it was there when it launched. There was a lot of radar bugs and really weird bugs on the multi-vehicle AA systems. So it was a very bugged update. And honestly, the only thing that I wanted to talk about here is that if Gaijin is listening to me here, maybe my suggestion would be to kind of I know I have no idea how you guys do stuff internally, but I would try to have a line of thinking of ignoring time frames of releasing updates. If an update needs 2-3 more weeks of refining the dev server before going to live, I think it's better than releasing an update the way that Gaijin did right now with this one. So it was really bugged. Many game-breaking bugs that would made make basically a lot of people just don't play the update, and it was just really, really annoying. So yeah, the type of bug that I saw there is just, it needs to not happen anymore, right? On a release of an update. It's just, maybe it was a problem, maybe, I don't know. I really don't understand what happened, but they kind of, they just fix it and it's like done. Let's get on with it. But it was kind of too much, I think, right? Let's be honest. The second thing of the losses over here is that there were not a lot of new aircraft or even vehicles in general. You know, we didn't see a lot of vehicles. Like, honestly, take a look. We had a lot of AAs and a lot of new ships, but no really, not a big variation like we normally have. It was more focused on these two things update. And I can understand why. I mean, ships probably take a lot of time to develop, especially in Yamato, Bismarck, stuff like that. And the new AAs were a new mechanic, so, and they were a little bit bugged, etc., right? So I understand why, but still, I'm gonna kind of connect the second to the third loss here. That there were not a lot of vehicles, but in a general sense, we had a lot of new premiums. So we had the NF, NFA. We had the Japanese XF2 or F2 ADTW, right? We had a new F-18 for the Germans, right? We had the L-39. We had many vehicles that are premium. We had the 3-tank like premium packs. So in a general sense, guys, and then a squadron vehicle, okay, the sniper as well. So a lot of vehicles that were added were interesting, or most of them were interesting, but most of them were copy paste, right, at the same time. So the majority of the vehicles, although they were interesting enough for you to play with, they were very expensive copy paste, right? And the majority of them, if I'm not mistaken, are premiums. I have to check on the numbers, but like, for example, aircraft, there was, like, for example, the sub tree of the Swiss, the German tech tree, but outside from that, the 99% of the other vehicles that got added for the air were premiums, right? So it's kind of complicated. I agree that we need more premiums, especially for the nations that we receive it. So, for example, the French needed one, the Italians needed one, so it's okay. The Germans, so it's okay. But it's kind of not the greatest when you don't have a lot of new vehicles that are interesting enough. And then together with that, you have a lot of copy-paste premiums, right? It becomes kind of a weird update that it's not really interesting, right? This is, of course, only my opinion, right? So these are the wins and losses. So at the end of the day, can we answer was it a good update or not? Well, guys, I think it was okay, to be honest. I cannot say it's a completely bad update, because they actually added multi-vehicle AAs, and they added the F2 and a little bit of the ships as well. That I know there isn't a lot of people playing ships, but the people that play ships were waiting for these, right? So I cannot say it's a completely bad update, but at the same time, it was kind of one of those that didn't bring anything, like, it didn't bring a lot of things for everybody, right? It was more focused on some things. I think what really kind of it was kind of problematic was the bugs, right? The bugs really made the experience kind of weird when the patch rolled out, right? And now we have more than a week that happened, and it was kind of weird. It was kind of weird, right? So at the end of the day, I just have this feeling that it wasn't a completely, utterly garbage update. For example, I'm gonna give an example here, the Finnish update. A lot of people complain about that update because there was literally like 95% of the vehicles were copy-paste. Here we have, it was not that, this update wasn't that bad, right? But at the same time, it wasn't that good. It was kind of a mix, especially because of the bugs, right? So you tell me in the comments what you think about this. I think it's an okay update, nothing too major. Hopefully we start to get better ones. I mean, we still have 3 updates, and the next one is already next month. The first devlogs and stuff, probably around the later stages of next month. So we still have a while to get there. But But basically, this is it. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. Again, let me know in the comments what you think about the update, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye. See ya.